Okay, we're back with more idle loops here. As with other idle days, I'm playing this simultaneously with another idle game. This time it's Melvor Idle, so I'll be clipping throughout and jumping away once I run out of things to look at. So here with idle loops, I reviewed my notes from the end of last episode. I think this game actually does require a pretty substantial amount of actual idle, that just letting it run in between, swapping between games is not enough to actually make decent progress in it. So from now on, whenever I do an idle loops episode, that morning I'm just going to boot the game up and let it run for a bit to get some stat build up. You can see here I've got a decent number of patient heals, a decent number of kills, and a pretty substantial number of loots from the dungeon. So what I want to try to do now is see if it's possible to set up a loop that will let me get into this journey. So my notes, let me review my notes here. I need to buy Haggle 15 times, which requires me to heal sick 4 times. So I think I already have the loadout to do this. Yeah, let me save this guy to do the dungeon 3 times. It's pretty convenient. Do journey if mana, and let's restart. I think I have everything that's necessary to pass this. I might need to add more lockpicks to it. I guess we'll see here. The theory is that I've done enough training now and have enough soul stones that my stats are high enough that this will get me out of here, and then I can see whatever's in the next zone, because I've never been there before. Sounds like it's a pretty substantial unlock, though. I think this game is really, really interesting. It's probably one of the most interesting idle games I've ever encountered. I think it's got kind of a big learning curve at the beginning, and then I struggle sometimes to be able to envision the net benefit of taking some action. I wonder if there could be more verbose tooltips on some of these actions here. It's like I can read this and maybe try to figure out, am I getting net more mana back from picking locks and then selling the mana, or buying mana, I guess, with gold? The answer, I guess, is always yes, but sometimes it can be hard to rock that, I think. Okay, so I do cleanly do 2 treat the sick missions there without any problems. I think each time I do haggle, it costs 1 rep. See how crazy this gets when it gets down here. I might already have enough rep that I don't need these 2. Maybe the extra ones are coming from some of my quests. We'll see here. It might be that I've healed enough people and my stats are good enough that I can reduce the number of times I have to do that. Oh, I think I'm going to make it here. That's cool. All right. Oh my god. So do I get to just chill here for a second and decide what I want to do? Let's pause. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. So we've got explore forest. I guess we do that after these. So I guess we just want to explore the forest right now. There's nothing else to do here yet. Okay. And that might be where we pause for now. I think I'm just burning mana at the moment, right? Because I don't have any other actions to do, unless if it's repeating actions from the previous loop. Oh, it just restarted in general. Okay, so I have a way to go back and see additional action options, action stories, certain amount of forest explored, a forest path, sense an evil presence. Okay, and I can go back to Beginnersville if I wanted to change those options. So I think this list doesn't actually have Explore Forest in it, so I need to restart it now. All right, well, I'd like to see what happens when I Explore Forest, so I'm going to let the whole thing run one more time here. We can probably start looking at Melvor Idle here in a second. Okay, so we'll get some story if I explore 1% of the forest, which should happen here. I think I have enough bonus seconds to last me forever, yeah, because of the long gaps in between sessions. Should start studying these now. This guy? I did not know that was there. Thank you. Explains why you run out of soul stones. This is saturated with mana. All right, so wild mana. Every good mana spot has 250 mana. Every 10 mana spots have good mana. Okay. Old shortcut gives herbs. Hermit knowledge. Okay. Locked at 20% forest explored. So I guess just doing basic exploration isn't to find wild mana the way I was finding pots before. Talk to Hermit. This is mana cost of gather herbs, practical magic, learn alchemy by 0.5% per 1% of hermit knowledge, of course. Sure. I might, let's see, I think I have excessive reputation here, so I might want to kill this from the loop for when I tab out into Melvor Idol. I think once this all goes, I'm going to be ahead by a little bit of rep here. Yeah. So now we're exploring the forest. Now I can add wild mana. I guess we want to do a lot of exploration, but we want to be gathering some wild mana along the way, try to find some of it. So maybe we just explore wild mana, explore. I probably have room to do more than that, but I want to have more options when I come back to this later. The start of the path from your campsite and struck with a sense of wanderlust. You leave your camp to explore. Find a tiny glade practically overflowing with mana, and that's why I can do wild mana now. Okay. I think I'm happy to let this run for now. Let me go ahead and I'm just going to suspend that. I'm going to let it play through one more time just to make sure that suspending that is okay. I think it is. And it gets me some time back. We don't want to do lootable first until we've checked all locations. Oh, there's only 15 to check. That's not too bad. I guess maybe I have to explore more to get more to check. That must be it. I don't remember if it tells you how many locations you found. Continue on. Mana cost reduced by 60 per old shortcut percent. So I eventually have to do a lot of old shortcut. You can't directly extrapolate that though, right? I can't say, okay, well, there's 15 with 3%, so you can just multiply those to get the total number. Exploring, it seems like the main thing it does is it unlocks new actions, right? Really glad past me set this up, this loadout for once I had enough reputation. Yeah, okay, this is fine. Skipping that one step. Then I just explore for the rest of it. I can probably look for more mana than that, to be honest. Should set it to lootable first. That would let me do it for longer. Okay, cool. And I get in there with a decent amount of mana left over. Oh, glasses still affect that in I didn't know that. For other explore actions in other areas. Buy glasses. Causes wander to be 4 times as effective. Is it wander or is it explore? Oh, 2x progress with classes. Okay, I see. Let me see if I can fit it in there somewhere. Probably have to do it instead of using some of my money from lock picking. Classes cost 10 gold. Okay, so I could do it like here. Well, let's do it after this batch. I'll buy it and then trade the rest for mana, and that's probably fine. Okay, I'll come back to this game after we check out Melvor Idol for a little bit. All right, back with more idle loops. I don't know if I'm able to make a ton of progress here, but let's see what all's going on in Forest Path. Let's see. So, mana sources, funny plants uprooted. That's from Gather Herbs. But it sounded like Gather Herbs is easier if you talk to the Hermit, because that reduces the cost. Okay. So to get to the Hermit, I need 20% shortcut explored. Let me think here. I guess it takes quite a while now for me to see the results of the opening area. I wonder if eventually you get like the ability to teleport straight here. I can't do a lot of easy testing. This is going to take me a while. If I'm only doing 5 wild mana sources at a time, I can probably pump that because it looked like I was able to do a bunch of repetitions there. I should probably have a lot of exploring happening since that actually benefits from the glasses. But I can maybe add some shortcut checks here. Additional herbs. I don't think I want to bother with gather herbs until I talk to the hermit. No, I haven't. I really like the concept though of like, oh my god, you're in this like, 2-second time loop and you got to do something immediately to be able to break out of the time loop. That's really, really clever. I guess I can let this loop complete here and then see how it goes with just infinitely looking for an old shortcut. So then there's hunting. Every 10 animals have good hides. I don't know what I can do with hides yet. 10 times per reset. Levels up constitution and soul. Is that how that works? Train dexterity. Oh, train speed. Speed is pretty crucial in some of the early tasks I'm doing over here, isn't it? Like, no, it definitely affects smashing pots. A lot. See what else costs speed. Slightly affected by quests. Yeah, but that'll use the sources with mana. It'll give me more mana for the run, right? I guess there's an argument that you should look for the unlootable ones first to just find which ones have loot for the future, but a lot of these guys use speed. Does a dungeon use speed? It doesn't actually. Okay, I've probably done a decent amount of dungeon for now, though. So shortcut explored 0%, so I didn't really do a lot that time, did I? The shortcut like a really substantial cost? Right, because if I have 10 mana sources, it's just going to grab all 10 mana that I've listed as lootable and then not find anything after that. Yeah, I see what you're saying. I guess I could leave it to non-lootable. Maybe it's just the best strategy to not even bother with a shortcut yet and finish getting all of the wild mana, because it looked like I made pretty decent progress last time. The problem is I kind of have to be attentive to this as I'm uncovering the uh, lootable mana, because if I'm just doing 10 searches and I've already tapped everything out, then this is just a waste of a step in the list here, which would be annoying. And I guess the reason to get rid of the shortcut is that the glasses aren't helping me for it. So I want to do something primarily that's helped by the glasses, and then get rid of the glasses in a future loop and just not even include it. You can go ahead and safely kill this guy now. I think this is a pretty precise. There might be some quests that I can remove, but I end up getting here with a decent amount of money. Okay, so yeah, the shortcut is pretty slow, it looks like. And I don't get the hermit until 20% shortcut. That's not too bad if I go back to Melvor, though. Maybe I should let that go until I talk to the hermit. I don't know. No, I think I'd rather get mana. Oh, I need 40 magic? Holy shit. Do I have something that lets me train magic here? Or do I have to go back and do magic lessons in Beginnersville? I guess mage lessons and also the dungeon technically gives magic. But that's like really fucking slow. Damn. It's hard to make educated choices here. I guess getting to 100% exploration. The hermit doesn't give me any benefits to explore forest. Gather herbs doesn't affect explore forest. The wild mana effectively does because it gives me more mana, so I have more time to spend out there. And I guess searching for 10, I'm going to grab mana from 4 of them, and I'll look for 6. So it's still probably going to take a while with how little time I'm spending in the forest path on this loop. Okay, I think I have this in a good place to come back to it. We'll go check out Melvor again here. Okay, back in idle loops over here, trying to figure out what's going on. Up to 41% explored. I almost have the mana source problem we were talking about earlier. I guess I'm exploring 1 per loop and getting just mana from the other 9. So I could uncheck lootable first and just try to hit as many of those up as possible. Don't know if I should be bothering with shortcuts. I have hunting unlocked now. I wish some of these things, I feel like I need more information. Every 10 animals have good hides. Do I have to like go back to Beginnersville and sell the hides, or what can I do with hides? This mostly just like training these skills, basically. I assume this place is like exponentially better than Beginnersville in terms of the things it can return for me, but that there's some things I'm still gonna need to go back to Beginnersville to do, like train magic. Hard. I guess I could just do each of these once to see what happens. It's probably smart instead of just leaving it entirely to random chance. Hides are useful later, but not particularly useful in the forest. Okay. What does the green outline on certain things mean? I've noticed that. Wanderlust hasn't faded. You discovered the darker side of the forest. Path more into the ground. One side of the main path is calm, welcoming. Okay, so you do get one thing for looking at it one time, so I may as well do it once just to see. The mana cost on this is insane until you basically max out old shortcut. It's actually I might be able to brute force it and just go straight there, but I wouldn't be able to do anything in Merchanton at all. Let this loop once and have it hit each of these things and see what happens. Really hard for me to feel the benefit of talent XP, because talent XP is like it carries over across every loop, right? And it just causes you to gain XP in that skill faster. And having a higher level in the skill means anytime I do a task that requires levels in that skill, the mana cost is reduced. So it effectively saves me mana and effectively saves me time. Is that right? Game's really interesting. I do think I'm going to have to do like a crazy amount of AFK. I think anytime Idle Loops is on the schedule, I'm pretty much just going to have to boot it up in the morning before stream and let it run for like 5 or 6 hours and then boot in. It's one of the more like truly idle games. I feel like there's a lot of idle games that are actually you're able to play them pretty attentively, pretty effectively. But this one you kind of know you are like letting it run for like a day and then coming back with a day's worth of soul stones from the dungeon or whatever. So it feels like a lot more strategic than tactical. So I think then what my objective should be, if when I come back to a new episode of Idle Loops, I'm going to let it run for like 6 hours in the morning. When I record, I'm recording new things that I haven't seen before. And then when I let it run in the morning, I'm only doing stuff that I've already done. So while recording, I should try to access as many new things as possible, I think is my theory. So I think I've done everything there is to do in Beginnerville, so I could do any of these. Is there any reason to finish getting to 100% investigated? I actually didn't look at this before. Hold on. Where's that story thing? There's literally, oh, it's under action options. Start journey, travel to the second zone. Nothing here will stop the loops. Oh, that's funny. You can do 16 hackles in a loop and that gets you some kind of new story because it's like totally unnecessary. Supplies bought without haggling. Imagine this game has room to get like really insane later on. All right, what do we got here? Gather herbs. You pull up random plants, emanate mana. Plants that started gathering mana, they're actually magical plants. Small distinction, but a significant one. Ruined its pelt. You need practice. Okay. Oh, a number of long quests available is based on percent investigated. I have to review. I wish this game had more verbose tooltips. I wish it had some kind of like more substantial statistics section, maybe in this bottom right corner, to help me really eyeball what the relationship is between each of these steps and how much mana I'm investing versus getting back. Because I feel like I just have to like brute force test it. I have to remove all of the quests and see if I have enough mana afterward. And it seems that as the loop gets longer and longer, it becomes more and more punishing to do that experimentation. I think this game is brilliant, though. I think it's one of the most interesting idle games I've ever encountered. But it's I wouldn't say it's impenetrable, but it's a little bit harder to rock what's happening. Keep doing shortcuts. So this guy required 40 magic, which is insane. That's 60% forest explored, 80% forest explored. If something can only be done 10 times per reset, is it generally pretty worth doing, or only like, I guess there's different kinds of loops you want to run. Sorry, my cat just unplugged my capture card. There's sometimes you just want to do training loops where you're just doing like sit by waterfall, train dexterity, train speed, train strength, and that's it. And sometimes you're trying to like actively make progress to the next zone. But it's hard to tell, like, do I only want to do this if I know that there's a task that requires a shitload of soul, or I only want to do this if I know I need speed for something? The main thing I need speed for is breaking pots, and that's already done like incredibly quickly, so I don't think it can save me that much mana. Yeah, Jimmy Dean, thanks for hanging out. VOD will be on YouTube soon. So, all right, let's just explore. There's no reason to do all this other crap here. I could increase this to 20, basically double the ones that I have here. Yeah, the 4x talent XP is specifically the XP that carries over between resets. It lets you gain levels more quickly on future runs. If I started doing train strength, has that effect, but most of these don't, like warrior lessons don't. I'm probably going to have to leave mage lessons running for next time so I have a high enough magic. I'll leave that as a future Marstead note before I'm done to make sure I train magic to 40 before next session so we can see what the deal is with the hermit. And I think we do want as much shortcut explored as possible before we even bother talking to the hermit, because it makes the hermit substantially more efficient. Yeah, they are. I wish that you could turn this on and have it consume them arbitrarily quickly. I mean, I guess the idea is you would just boot up the game once and then turn the game off for a year and then come back to it and then have infinite bonus seconds, which is essentially my situation. But I think their implementation's not great. I get what they were going for. They didn't want to actually have like offline progress because it can't because of the whole loop system. Yeah, it'd be pretty bad if it wasn't on. Let me see how 20 wild mana goes here. So there's something like 250 total. Well, not searchable. I guess I don't know if it's maybe it'll end up being a total of 50 wild mana, like actual tappable locations, like it was 50 urns before. Okay. I think I have this in a good position. I don't know that I'm honestly going to be able to make too many more substantial changes to Idle Loops today's stream. But I'll come back to it one more time before we wrap up and leave my future Marstead notes. So we'll call it there and go back to Melvor for now. All right, coming back just to wrap up what we're doing in Idle Loops over here. I guess I have Follow Flowers. Oh, it's a place that gets you more herbs and 2x progress with glasses. Let me go ahead and add that just to see what the step is for it and to decide if I want to include it in the future. So the idea here, future Marstead, is you are trying to finish getting all of the wild mana sources. It looks like you have 17 that have mana. Every time you come back to this, you probably just want to increase this count by like another 10 so that you're always finding more and not just like using this to claim all of the mana and spend more time on the route. I think what you want to do is you boot this game up in the morning, you leave it on this loadout here. Let's go ahead and save it. So loadout 10 can be forest path, saved a list. Yeah. You want to modify it a little bit because right now I think the big thing is you're picking up the glasses on this journey, and the glasses help with Explore Forest and with Follow Flowers. It seems like Follow Flowers is going to help with Gather Herbs, but you probably don't want to do much herb gathering until you talk to Hermit, and you can't talk to Hermit until you get Magic to 40, and you can't get Magic to 40 unless if you do a lot of Magic lessons. So you might want to just make a custom loop that's just Mage lessons, just to get your Magic as close to 40 as possible, and let that run, you know, the morning of the next Idle Loop stream, because hopefully there'll be some content behind that. We also want to explore the forest as much as possible to get train dexterity and train speed. We'll do that next stream. We'll try to continue on to Merchanton because maybe there's some interesting stuff to do in Merchanton. I think having all of the wild mana here, this is just like free time on the clock that's lying around. It's like the pots in the first area, and there might be a similar unlock in Merchanton. So I think your objective next stream is to get to Merchanton and find out as much as you possibly can. I want to see what happens here when we get to Follow Flowers. It might still make sense. It's getting hard now because if you're just going to play this in the morning, there's like 50 things you want to do now. You want to do mage lessons. You want to do the dungeon more to get more soul stones. I'm guessing the idea here is that the chance for you to get soul stones regenerates the longer you're away from the dungeon. So it's actually ineffective to focus the dungeon for too long. So I guess actually neglecting the dungeon next time is probably the way to go to get that chance to climb back up to 100% for all of these. And then you could get a bunch of easy soul stones for a little while. I think that's basically everything to mention. Let me see what happens when it gets down here to Follow Flowers. Okay, so there's a flower trail that unlocks more stuff behind it. I wish this told you when there was an unlock that was hidden. Sometimes it like puts it in red and says it's unlocked at 70% Forest Explorer, but I feel like sometimes things just like pop up here as a total surprise. I guess you could do... I don't think Follow Flowers is super important, Future Marstead. I think you want to stay on Explore Forest because that'll get you the rest of these unlocks. Sit by Waterfall, train Dexterity, and train Speed. So let that go in the morning along with the mage. Maybe if you finish the mage training, pay attention to this. If you get your magic up to 40, come back over here and do Explore Forest for the rest of your inattentive time. That's been Idle Loops. Love this game. Really good. Really interesting.